Listening to Indiana SRN, home for God's Word 24/7 and sports. Hey everybody, it's Coach from Indiana SRN. Don't forget to listen to Sports Zone every day right here, 11 to 12 noon Eastern. Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
It's the Sports Zone with Keith Myers and the Indiana SRN sports team. Made possible by Morales Group, College Hunks and Movers, the IHSAA, and Aspen Creek Grill. Now, let's join Keith and his guests.
You know, earlier in this week, we were up north in Crown Point area with Allison Duncan, and to this, as we end the show this week, we go all the way down south. Walt Ferber joins us, and Walt, we've had a wide variety of guests this week, but it's kind of fun to catch up with you, and thank you very much for taking some time out of your busy schedule.
Well, I tell you what, I always enjoy talking with you, and I'm very, very grateful for your friendship.
Well, I appreciate that a lot. Walt wakes up at 4:30 in the morning, so now it's 11 o'clock in the morning. Have you taken your nap? Are you refreshed? You ready to go?
Well, the nap is coming up. As I age a little bit, those power naps in the early afternoon are they're very, very much needed. And when you go from 4:30 in the morning, and when I do have games, a lot of times it'll be till midnight. Those early afternoon power naps are really certainly really a help.
You know, my wife knows when I'm going into the studio, she knows there's going to be two things. Well, either I'm going to be playing Christian music, doing a show, or I'm going to take my nap and I make white noise, so she thinks I'm busy.
You're a very, very smart man, but Christian music and nap times are all very, very, I think, pleasant things that we should go after.
Yeah, always entertain the audience of one.
Well, your audience is. I tell you what, I know in the world of broadcasting, you're supposed to talk to the microphone like you're talking to one person, but I'm very impressed what you have done with Indiana SRN. You have really put that into where. You have an outstanding network, and your listenership has really grown.
Yes, it has. So let's talk about listenership and about high school sports. The state tournament did not happen. We feel that that was going to be a great state tournament. 64 teams was crowned sectional championships. Kind of unique year. Never happened ever before in the history of high school sports.
Well, you know, I've been doing this, I'm pushing 2 years shy of doing this business now for 50 years, and I have never seen anything like it. And, you know, God, when you think you got your plan down, God throws you a curveball every now and then, and I have certainly never had any sporting events canceled over a period of time. Never, ever thought that we would have cancellations because of a pandemic.
Talk a little bit about your season as a broadcaster, some teams down your way that was making a run, and talking about the future of Southern Indiana sports.
Well, you know, it is kind of sad. I guess it depends on which way you look at it. In one way, I look at it since it was, you know, called off after the sectional round, we basically have, as far as I'm concerned, 64 individual state champions. But as I'm looking in my neck of the woods here in southwestern Indiana, especially, there's some teams that really were teams of the generational teams. One that really sticks out to me, just south of DuBois County, is Heritage Hills. They had this year, in my estimation, the best team that they've had in the history of the school. They knocked off Bossy in the sectional round. They had 3 1,000-point scores, and they got a guy that's going to go very, very high at Division I in Blake Sisley. He's going to be a senior next year, and of course, they really thought that they would have really had a chance to possibly make it to the field house for the state championship this year. You're looking at another team that really this was probably their year, Evansville Rights. They had a couple of really outstanding players on their team, but Christian Lander, I know people statewide have heard more about him lately. He's recruited, will be playing. He's actually reclassified up. He's a junior and will be playing for Archie Miller at Indiana University next year. And this is a Rights team that certainly had the ability to go a long, long way. Bar Reeve in that 1A sectional had an opportunity, I think, to get to Indianapolis. They closed the year at the top of the 1A poll, and Josh Thompson has those guys to where they are really outstanding year in and year out, and really not any holes in that team. Keegan O'Neill, really the fire plug of that team, graduating at the end of this year. So they had a great opportunity this year. In 2A, South Spencer probably had the best year they've had in the last 25 years, had a chance to do damage. So it is sad. And in some instances here, especially with Heritage Hills, you had what is, I believe, a generational team. And that is something that they're not going to get back, the opportunities that they had this year. And at least in our neck of the woods here, we had really, I think, some of the best basketball played that we've had in a long time.
Walt Ferber joins us on Indiana SRN on the Sports Talk and the Sports Zone. Walt, the game that I thought would be very interesting is both teams win their regional. The Bar Reeve Greenwood Christian matchup in semi-state would have been a good matchup. Both teams less than 3 losses on both of those teams. Crazy in 1A, and I think really 1A was going to bring the cream of the crop.
Well, I am a big fan of small school basketball. And the high school basketball that I do all of the Jasper High School games. They, of course, are 4A. But when I'm not doing Jasper, I do a lot of Northeast DuBois basketball. Northeast DuBois was one of those sectional champions this year. And I'm out and about, and you're talking about our little beltway down here. We have some of the best 1A basketball you're going to find. Bar Reeve, as you spoke about earlier, having an outstanding year this year. And that Bar Reeve-Lagodi matchup, I believe, is one of the top matchups statewide. Lagodi actually knocked off Bar Reeve earlier in the year, and they're a 1A team that we need to be looking out as we look next year. But, Lagodi should be good next year. And I hear from you guys and my buddy Steve McClure that's always telling me about the academy up there in Indianapolis, that they have really had a special season up there also.
Steve's never shy to pick up on what Indiana SRN, one of our schools, and that's a shameless plug. But we cover so many, and especially in Central Indiana, as you well know, we've been we were going to be in over 300 gyms this year. It's been incredible, but that academy team was very good. Hey, Walt, we're going to take a break. Can you stay with us for one more segment?
Sure can.
All right, we'll take this 2-minute break. When we come back, a lot more from Walt Ferber on Indiana SRN and the Sports Talk and Sports Zone show. Do you want to hear your favorite team on IndianaSRN.org? It's easy to do, calling all the play-by-play and colored commentary. High school sports along with youth sport, Mr. Wizard is waiting for your call. Contact him at 317-443-0052. We're ready for every touchdown, basket, and goal. Contact Mr. Wizard, 317-443-0052.
PNC Bank has technology to help make banking easier, like PNC Easy Lock, so you can easily lock your credit card when its maximum limit differs from its vertical limit. And CloverFlex, for when you need to take credit cards when no one carries cash, or requesting a call to help get a new credit card, one that hasn't followed the family goldfish. PNC, make today the day.
Call Tammy at the McCordsville branch, 317-335-2555. Having an electrical problem? Berkner Electric has your solution. We provide professional, residential, and commercial electrical contractor services to Indianapolis and surrounding communities. With more than 30 years of experience, we have a reputation for safety, excellence, and competitive pricing. We are fully licensed, bonded, and insured for your protection. Electrical work can be shocking, so leave that problem to the pros at Berkner Electric. Call for a free estimate, 317-773-7663.
You're listening to Indiana SRN. It is the Sports Zone show on Indiana SRN. Keith Myers, Walt Ferber joins us. And Walt's been around a long time. You're a Hall of Famer, aren't you, Walt?
Well, it's been a while, but yes, it was one of the most humbling moments that I ever had, and to be brought in with some people that I'd looked up to my entire life was certainly an outstanding experience.
Talk a little bit about, because we talked about the regionals, but talk a little bit about your fondest memory. You've been around this for 48 plus years. The best game you ever saw, maybe if you could stretch that for us, that would be kind of cool and help our listeners realize kind of brand of basketball that you have seen.
Well, and honestly, that would go back a long, long way. It's back in the very, very beginning of my career. My junior year back in high school, I was doing tape delay work, and for my team, the New Albany Bulldogs, it was the first game of the Jeffersonville sectional, packed house in the new, I think it was the first year of the new gym at Jeffersonville, and it was 20th ranked New Albany against the top-ranked team in the state, the Jeffersonville, but caught fire. Early in that season, they were down to Evansville Bossy by 19 points and came back to win that game, and that turned out to be a turning point. And in that game, in a crazy atmosphere at Jeffersonville, a 6'2" guy by the name of Julius Norman could jump out of the gym. He led the way, and New Albany upset Jeffersonville on that night and went on to win their first state championship. That was the 1973 state championship at Assembly Hall in Bloomington, as they downed South Bend Adams in that game, 84-79. But none of that would have been possible without the huge upset in the first game against the team that was number one in the state, Jeffersonville. And I've seen certainly some great games since then, and I've been broadcasting at WITZ since 1980. But the one that still sticks out in my mind the most is that game that went all the way back to 1973.
Talk about the people who have made a difference in your life in the radio industry. I know I have some heroes myself, but the people who gave you the breaks, and without those people giving you the break, you wouldn't be doing what you do because you enjoy what you're doing, and it's not a job anymore, is it?
No, I feel very blessed. The Lord has certainly blessed me richly in allowing me to really not have to go to what I call a day of work in my entire life. But I have had some people certainly that have helped back in New Albany. Chuck Roll got me started. He was a former anchor at WLKY in Louisville. But the guy that really helped out and came in at my high school station, WNAS in New Albany, is Lee Kelly, who remains a great, great friend to this day. And he had no problems in telling me when I wasn't doing things right back then, and has backed me for all those years since the early 70s. And also another fellow that is a Hall of Famer that just passed away in this last year, and that is Charlie Jenkins of WXVW. Charlie has been really strongly associated with the Sports Writers and Sportscasters Hall of Fame. He is a former AAA Major League Baseball voice, and for over 60 years, people in the Kentuckiana area of Louisville, New Albany, Clarksville, Jeffersonville listened to Charlie bring them high school basketball. And Charlie mentored me, gave me an opportunity to work for him back in the day, and without him, it would have been certainly impossible to continue. I've had other folks, like I spent some time in Bloomington at the WTTS, Joe Smith, who is now who's been with the Indiana Radio Network for a number of years. He and Don Fisher have been a great help to me over the years, as has the venerable Sam Simmermaker out of Columbus, Indiana. So there have been a lot of people that have gone out of their way to help me, and I certainly could not have done what I've done without the help that I've received from an awful lot of very, very nice folks.
You know, we've been doing this for 12 years, Walt, and it's people like you and Nose and others that has helped us greatly. Walt, I know you're very busy. You're going to take your nap here in a few minutes. Thanks for for spending some time with us. Hey, we'll catch up, and hopefully maybe we can catch up during high school baseball. I know that they're talking about doing an abbreviated schedule. Hopefully we can get that done, and we can meet face-to-face again, and maybe you can buy me a Coke.
I would be happy to do that.
Let's do this quiz real quick. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Chocolate ice cream or vanilla ice cream?
I'm boring. I'm a vanilla guy.
Pudding or Jell-O?
Pudding.
Okay, it's breakfast time. Bacon or sausage?
I'm a bacon man.
Waffles or pancakes?
That's a toughie. That's close, but I'm going to go with waffle. The way my wife, Melanie, makes them, I'm going to go with waffles.
Yeah, see, there you go. And the final one, poolside or lakeside?
What was that again?
Poolside or lakeside?
Lakeside.
There you go. Well,
I like the atmosphere, and they're good either way, but I'll take the lake.
Walt, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. I'll talk to you again.
That sounds great. Thank you very, very much.
You bet. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
Welcome to Corin's Manufactured Homes, family-owned and operated since 1955, located at 9622 Pendleton Pike in Indianapolis. We invite you to take a look at our manufactured homes and all of our wonderful Indianapolis communities by visiting our website, Corin Homes, CORNHOMES.com, and clicking on the community of your interest, CorinHomes.com, or call today at 317-897-1043. Corin's Manufactured Homes.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
It was a challenge that was given by my father. He wanted me to give back much more than I had been. Then I realized that when he said more, he wanted me to see how I could give more. We're willing to serve others, and we're not expecting something in return.
We're building those futures here. If you're about building better futures one story at a time, come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
Thanks to Rick McIntyre and McIntyre Imaging for their support of Christian radio and sports. Their service is capturing moments in time and images that provide a record of the celebrations, blessings, and gifts the Lord has given. McIntyre Imaging Products gives their clients a snapshot of life for family and future generations. You may reach Rick and his staff at McIntyre Imaging at www.mcintyreimaging.com.
Looking for some home repair, maybe new drywall, some painting? Give our friends a call at Amazing Drywall, 317-339-2672. Tim Seats has been in business for 5 years. A Christian man? Give him a call. Amazing Drywall, 317-339-2672. It's Amazing Drywall. They're proud sponsors of Indiana SRN and God's Word 24/7. Amazing Drywall. Thank you for listening to the Sports Zone. We'll be back after this 30-second timeout. Don't forget, you can reach us by Twitter at IndianaSRN. My email address, coach@IndianaSRN. We'll be back after this 30-second timeout.
So you called us us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, home for God's Word 24/7 and sports. It is the Sports Zone. I'm Keith Myers. Thank you very much for joining us on this fine day. I hope that you're having a great time. You can reach us by email at coach@indianasrn.org. Joining us now is Brenda Hilton. She is the founder of Behind the Stripes. And Brenda, you're a lifetime hero of mine because I love refereeing back in the day. I did it for many, many years on high school football, basketball, lacrosse, whatever it took. I was just a sports nut, and I loved officiating. And you're making a little name for yourself because of the awareness that officials need to be taken care of.
Yes. Thank you so much, Keith, for having me on today. Pleasure to be here and pleasure to talk about a passion of mine that came to be. Didn't think it was going to be this big, but we're growing and getting more and more attention. I'll give you a little bit of background on what I did. I've spent the last 20 years in collegiate athletics, working with various sport assigners over the years. And I was at the Summit League, formerly the Mid-Continent Conference, for 11 years. And then in 2011, the Big Ten called me and asked me if I wanted to come over to their house and help with men's basketball officiating, and did that. And just over the years, I became very intrigued and enamored by how the whole officiating world works. People have no idea what goes into becoming an official, what they have to do, and over the years it's become more and more. And so the last 4 or 5 years I just really focused on, wow, these men and women are not treated very nicely. And in 2018 my role at the Big Ten expanded a little bit, and I ended up getting out of the officiating world and had a couple people, and one person in particular from the NCAA call me, and we went to lunch, and he said, "You can't get out of the officiating world. You know it too well. You love it. You hate to see these people treated like this, so figure it out." And in January of 2019, I sat down on a Saturday morning and wrote what, reflecting on it, was a very bad business plan, and came up with Officially Human and had a different tagline behind it. And my husband and I talked about it, and he gets the credit for Behind the Stripes. I get the credit for Officially Human, but he gets the credit for Behind the Stripes. And we just embarked on it. And I'll tell you, it's a great, in my mind, of course, it's a great mission.
Yeah, and we enjoy being involved with you. And I know Sandra Walters and Walter from the Indiana High School Athletic Association is a good friend of yours, and she turned me on to your name. And you're right. A lot of people don't realize that, these men and women have other jobs in some aspects, especially in high school. They have another job they have to do. They have to stay in shape. They have to drive to games. And, some of the things that they have to put up with day in, day out, we're human. They're human just like you and I are. And sometimes they have bad days.
Sure. And I think over the years, I've watched these men and women come up, and I think you're familiar with Bill Borowski out of Indianapolis.
Yes.
He and I started in the college world together, and he, of course, was an official, and I was in the conference office. And it's been fun to watch him grow over the years, and he's taught me so much about officiating. I probably have 4 or 5 people that I would really consider mentors, and taught me about, my gosh, Brenda, these rule books, they're not 5-page rule books, they're 50-page rule books. And now it's become, okay, now you have cameras everywhere, and now you have to watch, you're studying film just like you're a player, and people forget, and that hey, these guys, these men and women, yes, they, like you said, they do have day jobs and they have families and they have their own kids they want to go watch play these sports. And they want to sit in the stands and be a fan just like everybody else. Yet sometimes the more famous ones, they can't even do that because they get surrounded by people all the time. And, fans that think they think they know how calls should go. And I talked to a couple people this week and I said, boy, wouldn't it be something if we had a way to communicate to people that in a high school gym that holds 500 people, there's actually 500 different views in that gym from the stands. Do people realize that when they're in the stands yelling and screaming at these officials? It's really bad at the youth and high school level, as I'm sure you know.
Right. One of the things that I like what the association did here in Indiana, we do a sportsmanship pin. We have a sportsmanship pin that says integrity, character, and respect. And we have, as a group of broadcasters at Indiana SRN, as you are aware of what we do, we get to hand out that pin for a kid or a student or a manager or even a fan who shows excellent sportsmanship, because it starts with that. You have to understand that the game is just a game, and win or lose, it's just a high school basketball game, and it's not the end of the world. It's just a game. And I think if people realize that, and I think if we had 500 different angles, it would be amazing how many people go, wow, he was actually, or she was actually right. They did step out of bounds.
Right. And I think the other thing that we're trying to message to people is an official does not go into a game with the intent of getting calls wrong. They wrong calls, especially game-changing calls, keeps them up at night, just like you or I, when we make a mistake, a major mistake at work. It's the same thing. But at work, we get to come home and, we'll talk to our spouse or our significant other about it. Yet these guys and gals right now, they can be costed on social media because of one call.
Right. You say that, and it's what's amazing to me is we have a policy at Indiana SRN when you sign your agreement as an independent contractor that you do not make any questionable judgment on the officials. You leave that game alone. And then we also have made a policy when we started doing our webcast. Any close replay, we don't play it because that is a judgment call. And I think that's the way it should be. I think sometimes TV gets in a way of saying, let's super slow-mo. Well, that didn't happen super slow-mo. That happened fast speed, and he had to make, or she had to make the call at 1/10 of a second, and you're going to slow it down to 1/100th of a second, which it does seem so unfair.
And look at it 8 times.
Oh, yeah. And in 4 different angles.
Yeah. And it's always interesting to me because I've learned over the years, and when something is being shown at home, it doesn't necessarily mean that the officials at the game sites are seeing the same thing. And people have to understand that. When we have a lot of friends, obviously we all have a lot of friends, and when we kind of embarked on this mission, we tried to teach them more about, okay, just so you know, they're not seeing the same thing. And sometimes somebody in the truck is not getting the right feed to them, so it's delaying things. Officials don't want to stand at a table for 3 minutes.
Right.
They don't want to do it. They want to get the game going just like everybody else does. But we forget that because we're fans and we're passionate about whatever team we're cheering for.
Yeah. Well, before replay, when I officiated, one of the things that we were taught very quickly as an official, as I went through lots of clinics, Patty Broderick reminded us constantly, once you blow the whistle, you want to put that ball in play within 10 seconds because you do not want to labor that. Hey, we got to take a break. Can you stay with us a couple more segments?
Sure.
It is the Sports Talk. We'll be back right after this. It's Sports Zone on Indiana SRN. We'll be back after this 2-minute timeout.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job. That helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get, we know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
So you called us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, God's Word 24/7, and sports.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Craving comfort fresh food made from scratch daily? Check out Aspen Creek Grill. Located across from Hamilton Town Center and beside the Holiday Inn, we offer family farm-raised premium Black Agnes steaks hand-cut daily, creamy pastas, salmon chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Start with our famous powwow shrimp appetizer and don't miss our refreshing drinks. Family-friendly or a great night out with friends. Aspen Creek Grill. Aspen Creek Grill, Noblesville. Call 317-559-3300.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, home for God's Word 24/7 and sports. Thank you for listening to the Sports Zone on IndianaSRN.org. Brenda Hilton joins us as she is the founder of Behind the Stripes. And we were talking about the officiating and all those things. What is your goal? What would you like to get accomplished with your organization?
I think the main goal is just to raise awareness across the country and the treatment of officials, and how we as a society have to change that treatment. If we don't, we're not going to have them. And we did a survey with 14 different states and then an officiating association. And I'll tell you, Keith, when we first started out trying to reach out to states to get this survey done, it's a 53-question survey. And what we wanted to do is just give the officials a voice. You're probably familiar with the NASO survey that was done in 2017.
Yes.
That survey, I believe, was member-based. I think a couple of the states sent it out to even their state associations. But what we were trying to do is get to the lower levels, and that's where the officials, that's where our pipeline is, and that's where we need to figure out what do we need to do as a society and all these constituents coming together to address this shortage and the treatment. So we sent the survey out to 14 states and the other association, and we got 19,000 responses. I could have, if you would have asked me a year ago, how many responses do you think you'll get? I would have never guessed 19,000. So just a couple of highlights from that survey. 70% of the respondents say they officiate because of the love of the sport. And that's what we have to get. That's a message we have to get out. Okay, these people are out here because of the love of the sport. We've got to raise awareness on the treatment of them, or they're not going to do it. They do want to give back to their communities. They do want to stay in shape. Those are factors, but money isn't a factor. And that's what we have to change the way people approach youth high school sports. It's very, very easy to sit on your couch and make judgment calls from there and then translate that over to a high school or a grade school game. Yeah. Very easy. So we have to change that mindset.
Yeah, more and more we go to games, and I go to little games, and I have granddaughters that are turning 5 and 6 years old. They're beginning to be interested in soccer and basketball, and so I have to watch. My grandpa has to watch himself sometimes. As little, you got to realize you're 6 years old. She's doing it because she loves the sport. That guy's out there because they want to be helpful, and I think if we have that childish attitude at times, that is just pure, and that's so sweet, and that will bring back the sweet of the game for everybody, just not the players and the fans, but also as the officials. That little sweet spot that I think we're missing right now.
Sure. I totally agree with that, and I think the other thing is we did get into this whole idea that all of our kids were going to be, and myself and my husband included, we thought we were going to have these rock star athletes, and they were decent athletes, but they weren't high Division I level athletes, and they weren't getting scholarships. However, when you take a step back and you get to know these men and women as people, you want to treat them better. You want to say, hey, thanks so much for taking time away. I know officials that have missed their child's graduation, or their daughter getting ready for prom. Those are big moments in kids' lives, and we're forgetting that. So when you go to that youth basketball game, we want to make sure that people are understanding that it really is. It's just a game, and we've got to stop being so emotional about a missed call or a wrong call. That's where we need to get, and hopefully through Officially Human, we can spread that message. And we struggled a little bit in the beginning, and okay, what is your product? How are you going to monetize this? And we're getting closer and closer. And I don't know that you know this, but we've done a lot of work with the IUPUI Sports Innovation Institute. They actually broke down all of our data for us.
Awesome.
So, yeah, the word is getting out across the country, and the more we can raise awareness, the more we're going to change this thing. We're gonna move that needle just a little bit. It's not going to be overnight because we didn't get here overnight, but if we can change it just a little bit, one organization at a time, then those organizations. So, Grand Park in Westfield,
right?
They're actually going to hang some banners of ours across on their complex. Well, when you go to a game there and you see Officially Human behind the stripes, we believe in the positive treatment of officials. When you see that, that's going to resonate. But we've got to get more visuals out there.
Yeah. If there's anybody out there that would like to be involved, or maybe to give you some feedback, how did they get a hold of you, Brenda? And what's your contact and information where we can get that out? As thousands of people are listening to this show today, how can we help you, and how can Indiana SRN help you as well?
So the first thing you can do is go to our website, officiallyhuman.com. My contact information is on there, brenda@officiallyhuman.com. Very simple. And how can you help me? You can help by if you host large tournaments or large gatherings of people that are have sports coming through. Reach out to us. We have some signage options that we would love to get in gyms. And again, not so much for us. While we're trying to build a brand, we are also trying to raise awareness, and it's going to take so many people coming together to do that. We've got some other things. If you're hosting a tournament, we have patches that we can put on. They're just the peel and stick patches that you can put on your officials' uniforms, and they're the OH logo. That way, that creates more conversation. Well, what does that OH logo mean on there? Oh, okay, yeah, Officially Human. They're trying to humanize sport officials. Anything like that, we can get those to you. I actually have those in stock. We can get those to you, and very minimal cost on those. So things like that, just reach out to us. We'd love to have conversations. We have some data that we would love to show and get people on different websites. We are not, overly protective with our data, because I think the more conversations we can create around this, the better we're going to be.
Hey, thank you much for your time. Are you ready to take this crazy quiz?
Sure, let's go.
You can't flunk it, I promise.
Okay.
Okay. Orange juice or apple juice?
Orange juice.
Pizza or nachos?
Nachos.
Popcorn or pretzels?
Popcorn.
Okay. Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
Last one. Text or email?
Text.
That's how we got a hold of each other. So that's very unique. Hey, Brenda, thank you so much for your time. We'll hit up again. We'll meet up again. This was very interesting, and I'm sure there's a lot more conversations that we can have.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for your time, Keith.
You bet. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
Piper Group Warehouse has a strong commitment to their clients as their logistics provider. If you would like to discover how you can improve your service levels while lowering your overall cost, Piper Logistics Group can help. Call Greg Piper today at 317-396-3916. Piper Logistics Group.
Thanks to Rick McIntyre and McIntyre Imaging for their support of Christian radio and sports. Their service is capturing moments in time and images that provide a record of the celebrations, blessings, and gifts the Lord has given. McIntyre Imaging Products gives their clients a snapshot of life for family and future generations. You may reach Rick and his staff at McIntyre Imaging at www.mcintyreimaging.com.
So you called us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, God's Word 24/7, and sports. Boy, I tell you what, time flies. It's Indiana SRN. It is the Sports Zone. If you want to reach us, email us anytime, coach@indianasrn.org. On the hotline now is a good friend of mine who we shot hoops back in the day of Cecina when he coached as the assistant, and I always beat him in horse. It's Joe Bradbury. Hi, Joe. How are you?
What a memory. Didn't I take a couple of those games, Keith?
Yeah, you did, and I did. I think I did lose a couple of nachos, and I think I lost a couple of Cokes. So
there's the truth coming out.
There you go. Well, I had to tell the truth. My wife is right in the middle of the studio. Are you kidding me? She's going to set me up. So
that keeps you straight, no doubt.
She does. Hey, let's talk about the Greenwood Woodmen. A great year for you guys.
Oh yeah, we had an awesome year, Keith, and you know, I couldn't be happier for a group of guys that came together and just did everything right. It was just a blast. We had probably one of the most unselfish groups I've ever coached, and went about 9 deep. We had 6 seniors and 2 juniors and a sophomore that made up our team. And you know, last summer we had a great summer, and you could just tell we had a good nucleus and good feel for each other, and you saw that the chemistry was getting there. Continued in the fall, and then, you know, we went through a few changes. We lost one of our leading guards, our leading scorer from a year ago, Bryce Hoffman, went down the second game at halftime of the year with a concussion. And so we had to kind of try to figure out how to put that together and hope he would get back as soon as he could. He ended up being out like 10, 11, 12 games range. And in the meantime, we had some other guys step up, and guys were excited to get Bryce back. But you know, it was just a total team effort to keep everybody together the entire year. So we had a good time, and a lot of success came. And one of our favorite phrases we had this year was Rock Shazak. You know what that term means, Keith?
No, I have no idea what that means. I'm 60 years old, Joe. I'm sorry, I've lost it.
We had a pastor come to our church last summer, and his name's Steve Carter out of Arizona, and he came and delivered a great message, and he had our whole church chanting Rock Shazak, and it's kind of his battle cry, and we kind of embraced that a little bit. It means be strong and courageous in the Lord, and you know, we kind of made that our school type thing, be strong and courageous. And guys embraced that. They embraced anything we did all year as a team, and in the process, we had a great season.
Yeah, we talked a couple years. Well, it was 2 years ago. We had you a couple times on Indiana SRN. We had the webcast game against Beech Grove on the network, and people could go back to watch that game on YouTube on our YouTube channel. But you've been around this game a long time, and all the people that you coached under and coached you have developed to be a pretty doggone good coach, Joe. I'm really proud of you.
Well, thank you, Keith. And I have had a lot of good people around me. That's kind of the essence of coaching. I steal a lot of things from a lot of people and kind of tweak them up and kind of make them my own. But, going way back to Coach Hecklinski days, he coached me in high school. And even before that, I had a good foundation with Lanny Parker. I don't know if that name rings a bell to you, and a family man. And then I got a chance to go over to Muncie Central and work with Coach Harrell, 3-time state champion and legend at Muncie. And just never have come across somebody that was better at X's and O's, just being able to put players in the right positions to do what he needed them to do. And from there, I worked with Pat Mapes at Cowan. He was a good friend and mentor and helped me out a lot at getting started in my education career. And then I got the Yorktown job, and we were fortunate enough to go to the state championship game the very first year of class basketball. So, and there's other people along the way, but that's just kind of a quick synopsis of some of the people that I've been involved with.
You talk about Mr. Harrell, he had that cigar in his mouth once in a while, and sometimes I thought he was going to choke on it. But, you go back to your high school day, Robbie knew he never threw you the ball. So, when you got the ball, you knew that was going to go up. But you and Robbie developed that friendship, and to this day, that friendship has been a pretty strong bond.
Exactly. And it's funny, we knew our roles. We were called run and gun, and obviously I was not the gun. I was the run guy. I got the ball off the floor to give it to Rob, and that was Coach Hecklinski's master plan as well. And we had a great time together. And through the game of basketball, Chris Benedict and Wayne Barker were also part of that group, that team. My brother Kevin was on that team, and we just had that nucleus I'm talking about for the chemistry part. Just had a great time through the game of basketball, and it's kind of guided me most of my life.
How much has basketball changed? I mean, you've been removed as a player for several years, but how much of the game has changed? Is there more strength and a more, I don't know, finesse in the game than there was before? Because I think when we played, there was hard knock. I mean, there was hard fouls, and you had to be very physical. The game has changed a little bit.
Well, when I first started, people didn't think you could run two offenses. It was either you're a motion person or a pattern person, a flex guy. I mean, that was the big talk when I first started coaching, and I didn't understand why that was the case. But I think early on when I was playing in the first few years of coaching, it was all pass-oriented, motion-oriented, pass and cut-oriented. And through the years, it was physical because people, just banged each other and fought through screens and some of that cutting and stuff. But I think through the years it's changed to more of a penetration game where people drive it more, and you've had to adjust your defenses a little bit. We set some records early when I went to DeKalb a few years back on defensive average, and then I think up north they were still more of a pass oriented. We were able to control tempo and then stop people from getting in the lane a little bit easier. But then you come back to Central Indiana, and some of the different teams you face become they became a little bit more drive-oriented, and I think that was harder to deal with, and you had to adjust your defenses.
I think also the game changed a little bit because the offensive foul came into play, and you get run over, maybe you get that charge call, and that momentum kind of helped you out a little bit.
Well, without a doubt, I think early when we were in school, that was a major part of it. My brother Kevin had, I think, 38 charges his senior year, our senior year. And, my team doesn't come close to that now, taking that many charges. I mean, it's changed from some things, but it's still valuable. And we had a kid this year, Ian Raker, that took some timely charges for us that changed the momentum of the game. And it still is big from that standpoint.
I gave away Coca-Colas for charges. I only probably gave away one a game. I wish I could gave away about 6 or 8. But Joe, you talk about Coach Heklinski, and he's a good friend of ours. And as you're aware of Debbie's situation with the liver transplant, and during that time, I remember we broadcasting Cecina games and how he took the game away from that to make it personal with us as he went through his liver transplant and walked through all those things. You walked through that as well. I mean, I know many nights we stayed up, many nights praying for Debbie, and just that reality and that friendship of sports is really kind of key, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just so powerful. You're in the game with somebody, somebody you can call on, depend on, pray with. I mean, that was a big thing that Coach Eck taught us way back when. And I remember a few years back at Cecina, we were all going through that same situation. And even today, with everything going on, I'm reaching out to different people. My father-in-law is in the hospital with the coronavirus right now. And just have a network through the game of basketball and all the people that you meet that you can lean on. And it's a big deal for life.
Yeah, it sure is. Hey, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap some things up. Okay, Joe?
Yep.
We'll be back right after this.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job. That helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get, we know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
So you called us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, God's Word 24/7, and sports.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Craving comfort fresh food made from scratch daily? Check out Aspen Creek Grill. Located across from Hamilton Town Center and beside the Holiday Inn, we offer family farm-raised premium black Agnes steaks hand-cut daily, creamy pastas, salmon chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Start with our famous powwow shrimp appetizer, and don't miss our refreshing drinks. Family-friendly or a great night out with friends. Aspen Creek Grill. Aspen Creek Grill, Noblesville. Call 317-559-3300.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, home for God's Word 24/7 and sports. Back on the Sports Zone, Indiana SRN, Keith Myers, Joe Bradburn joins us. And Joe, as we close this thing up, what is one of your favorite memories, maybe as a player and a coach?
As a player, even before I was a player, I used to watch Coach Harrell's teams at Muncie Central at the field house. That was big in our community. Seeing Jack Moore and Ray McCallum go to the state championship game. And, watching Scott Skiles, say, give me the ball and hit a game that sent that sent the state championship into an overtime situation. And things like that just made your passion grow for what made me understand what I want to do for my life, I guess. And then as a player, we had a chance to be successful with Coach Ecklinski. He won a sectional, the first in Wapane's history, and went over to the Wigwam. I think that's what made Coach Ecklinski fall in love with the Wigwam. He had a chance to go there as a coach when we were at Wapahani, and a few years later, he got the job of his dreams going to Anderson. So those are some big things. And as a player, or as a coach, the first class basketball tournament, our team went to the state championship against Cathedral, and that was obviously a big memory. And we beat number 1, 2, 4, and 5 that year on the state tournament run, which, timing is everything. I think you do something like that today, it would be a big news thing. At the time, people didn't know really how to look at class basketball and how to view that, but it was a phenomenal time. And then get a chance to coach my son at Huntington. That was obviously a big moment for me in coaching, and had a blast, had ups and downs, and learned through some adversity, and had some successes and triumphs. And then, gets us to this year. I had a great time with this kid. They brought back my passion to basketball, for a few years that, I was out of education, and good friend called me about the Greenwood job, and had a great time getting back involved with kids. And I think it's been my calling in life, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. And this year, it just was a blast.
I know I enjoy you on the sidelines. You've always been very kind to us, and we want to thank you on behalf of Indiana SRN. You're one of those guys that I can always count on you. And, I think when I reached out to you today, one of the things you said is whatever you need, and I really appreciate you spending some time with us.
Thanks, Keith. You're a professional. You do an awesome job, and we have so many things we can talk about and take up all kinds of time, but the biggest thing is you're a friend, and you've always been there for me to talk to, and I appreciate that as well.
Okay, you ready for this crazy quiz?
Sure.
Okay. Cake or pie?
I'd say pie.
What kind of pie?
Black raspberry.
Oh, Joe. Strawberry, man. Strawberry.
I love strawberry. It depends on who makes it. That's the other thing. It depends on where it's coming from.
You're almost close to the next door neighbor. I mean, you live in McCordsville. You should just come over to the house, and we'll hand it out a strawberry pie underneath the door or something.
I'll check my answer on that. I'll take strawberry now.
Okay. I'll tell Debbie to start.
That?
I'll tell Debbie to start making one. Ice cream or frozen yogurt?
Oh, probably ice cream.
Okay. Pancakes or waffles?
Definitely my grandma's pancakes. That's what I used to love.
Okay. Last a couple more here. Pizza or nachos?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'd say probably Pizza King pizza.
Ooh, right on. Right down the street, man. And finally, text or email? I know this one from you.
Oh, it's a lot easier for me to do a text these days. Sometimes I don't get to the computer or get to the email that quick.
And sometimes you don't even know where your phone is, so you
got me pegged.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
We'll talk to you again. That's Joe Bradbury from Greenwood High School. We'll be back right after this 30-second timeout.
Ago, internet radio seemed to be a mysterious phenomenon. It was available for use, but there wasn't much data. That has changed. Today, there is a growing body of information on internet radio. 7 out of 10 people ages 18 to 45 prefer to listen to internet radio than a terrestrial radio station. If you're interested in reaching this audience, email us at coach@indianasrn.org. We look forward to sharing our low rates with you and help to market your business. Contact us at coach@indianasrn.org.
Well, that wraps it up for us today. We'll talk to you again. Don't forget to tune in Monday through Friday right here on Indiana SRN. If you have any questions about Indiana SRN, please email us, coach@indianasrn.org. Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game. Goodbye, everybody.